Okay, so last time we saw some problems in combinatorics. We will have a look at some results regarding the binomial coefficients, okay, and Fibonacci numbers. Okay. I think you all are all familiar with Fibonacci numbers. We'll have a look at it. So the first one is Bonferroni's inequality. I am not sure how you pronounce it. It is a Italian name. Okay, so to prove that, we will have a look at this lemma. That is, I think, this generalization of the Pascal's equality. Okay, so this is if you have some mn k in n. Okay, where your any restrictions? Yeah, m is greater than 1, then m minus 1 ck is summation I going from 0 to k minus 1 raised to I k minus I and mc. Okay, what does that work out to be? So minus 1 raised to k mc 0 plus or plus minus 1 raised to k minus 1 mc 1. Okay, if you take this minus 1 raised to k out, then you get mc 0 minus mc 1 plus mc 2 up to mck, right? That's what you get. So this looks like, I think, I don't know whether it is a generalization of the Pascal's identity. Anyway, so let's see how you prove this. Anyone, any ideas on how to prove this? Yes? Any ideas on how to prove this? Yeah? No, no bijection. We just prove it using this thing. Okay, it's very simple. You actually prove this using the Pascal's identity. So have a look at this. I going from 0 to k minus 1 raised to k minus I. Okay, this by the Pascal's identity will be exactly what is it? MCI minus 1, I think, right? M minus 1 Ci minus 1 plus that's the Pascal's identity. This MCI will be MCI minus 1 M minus 1 Ci minus 1 plus M minus 1 Ci, okay, which is summation k plus I think we'll pull out the minus 1 raised to k, right? Let's keep that out. So that will give us minus 1 raised to k into summation I going from 0 to k. We know that minus 1 raised to minus I and minus 1 raised to I is the same. So this will give us m minus 1 c I minus 1 plus summation, minus 1 raised to I and I going from 0 to k m minus 1, so minus 1 raised to I Ci. Okay. Now you can have a look at these terms over here. This is going to vary from, this is a slight problem here, is that we are starting from 0, that doesn't work. From 1, this thing. So this will be, what happens to the 0th term here? 0th term here is MC0, which is 1. Okay. So this term is 0 when you, this thing, that is M minus 1 C0. So the first term is 0. Minus 1 is there. You can, this thing that as 0. Is that okay? M minus 1 C minus 1 you're getting here, right? That's 0. And it goes with the, this thing. Okay, if we assume that M minus 1 C minus 1 is 0, it goes with the, this thing. There is no harm in doing that. Okay. So, in fact, you can just go from 1. Here that appears, but make that assumption. Let me write here otherwise, where M minus 1 C minus 1 is 0. Okay. And so where does this go from? 1 to k. That means this here is going from 0 to k minus 1. This is going to go from 0 to k minus 1, right? And this will go from where? 0 to k. Okay, this will go from 0 to k minus 1. This goes from 0 to k. And you can see that these, see this is 0. If this is positive, this will be negative. If this is negative, this will be positive. When does this become 0? When I is 1. When does this become 0? When I is 0. So if this is, so this will have one higher power than this, right? When this is negative, this will be positive, opposite signs. So everything will cancel out except for which one? This one, how many terms are there? K terms, right? K plus 1 terms. This one is going to vary from 0 to k. M minus 1 C 0 to M minus 1 C k. M minus 1 C k minus 1. Okay. 0 to k minus 1. This is varying from where to where? 0 to k. Here you are going to have k plus 1 terms from 0 to k, right? Okay. And whatever term appears here will be opposite sign will appear here. Correct. So what is going to be left? Just the kth term of this. Okay. Just the kth term of this, which is nothing but minus 1 raised to k times minus 1 raised to k m minus 1 c k. That's exactly what we wanted, right? Minus 1 raised to 2k is 1. So this is m minus 1 c k. That's exactly what we want. That's it. Okay, so this is the identity that we use to prove the Bonferroni's inequality. So it's a very interesting identity. I will not use its applications, any applications of this in the chapter, but the identity by itself is interesting. So this is a okay, so you take any n subsets of a finite set S. Let A1 comma A2 up to AN be any n subsets, be any okay. These are some n subsets of a finite set S. don't think I need to state n also, means they might not even be distinct. No, I think they need to be distinct, that's fine. So 1, so I am essentially comparing the intersections of these, the different order intersections of these sets, okay, just like the same type of terms that appeared in your multinomial theorem, okay, that's exactly what we compare. So if t is odd, then you look at this A1 union A2 union up to AN, this will be less than or equal to summation I going from 1 to t. For any odd t, this will be less than or equal to, I'll tell you what this is exactly. This is nothing but just the sums of the cardinalities of the what do you call them, the I order intersections, okay, the I order intersections. We'll have a look at it. And 2, if t is even, then the inequality just reverses, okay, that is this is going to be greater than or equal to so what is this is what we want to know, where what is my ni? Ni is nothing but just the sums of the cardinalities of the I intersections, I order intersection, that is something like this, AI1 intersection AI2, no, I can't use I, right? What is the K1, let's use K1, K2 up to Ki. Look at all the different I order intersections, okay, look at all the different I order intersections. I hope this is clear what this exactly is, and take the cardinalities, okay, the I order intersections, like the 2 order intersections would be N2, N1 would be cardinality of A1 plus cardinality of A2 plus cardinality of A3 up to cardinality of AN. N2 would be cardinality of A1 intersection A2, right, plus cardinality of A1 intersection A3 plus up to cardinality of A1 intersection AN plus cardinality of A2 intersection A3, A2 intersection A4 up to A2 plus A3 intersection A4 and so on. So you get that idea, okay, where this is of course I want my K1 less than K2 up to Ki. This does not exceed n, correct, and this is to make sense anyway, it cannot exceed. These K1 up to Ki are numbers coming from 1 to n, okay. I hope this is clear. What this ni is the only thing which might be confusing, but if it's clear then it's fine. So how do we do this? So let's look at how many times does an element, So basically what we will do is exactly what we did in the multinomial theorem, is we will count what is the contribution of an element from here in this. Okay, we will just count what is the contribution of an element here in this. Okay, so let us see. So the first case, when t is odd, so when t is odd, we'll say let S be an element in A1 union up to An such that S occurs in exactly M sets among, okay, the exact same idea, among A1 up to An. Okay, so it occurs in exactly M of these sets. Okay, so if M is 0, if M is 0, that means it doesn't occur in if M is 0 means that, oh, that will not take place, so I don't have to worry about that. That never really matters, right? Let me, okay, fine, that's fine. So what is the contribution? Let's count what's the contribution of M to this sum. Okay, so the contribution of S, the contribution okay, what is the contribution of S to the left hand side? 1, right? The contribution of S to the left hand side will be 1, right? It occurs in this, the contribution will be exactly 1. Okay, we have to check what's the contribution here. Okay, if I know that the contribution of every M is less than 1, okay, for every, not every M, for every S, if I know that the contribution is less than 1, then my inequality will be proved, right? So that's what we are going to check. So the contribution of S to the summation I equals 1 to t minus 1 raised to I plus 1 Ni is what? So what will this Ni be? That's what we have to check. Okay, so in the first, so N1, how many times will, what will be N1? What will be N1? S occurs in exactly M sets among these, right? So what will be N1? What will be N1? What is Ni? Summation. So it will be the first order intersection, that is basically a cardinality of A1 plus cardinality of A2 plus cardinality of A3 and so on. So N1 will be exactly M, isn't it? Cardinality of N1 will be exactly M, right? It will just occur once in every of those M sets and 0 in everything else. So your cardinality of Ni, so your N1 will be 1. What will be N2? What will be N2? Yes? What will be N2? When what will be the contribution of S to the 2 intersection, this thing, two order intersections? Yeah, MC2, right? Those are the times when it's going to contribute there, exactly at MC2, right? So in general, Ni will be MCI. Is this okay? It's going to be exactly MCI. Yeah, M number of sets, then it's going to be MCI. So therefore, the contribution, I should have just is what is it? Summation I going from 1 to t minus 1 raised to I plus 1. This is nothing but MC I, right? It is going to be exactly MCI. And what is this MCI? Is it I plus 1? I plus 1, that's fine. What is what is this? What we have calculated this to be? You can see from our previous lemma, right? That is I going from 1 to k minus 1 raised to k minus 1 MCI. Of course, this is now I plus 1. So I want that's the that was okay, fine. Yeah, T is even, right? So that we have to take into account. So what will we get? We know this fact from the previous theorem. We know that m minus 1 c t. Let me just check what I want. Yeah, m minus 1 c t. What is this equal to? By the previous theorem, this is summation I going from 0 to t minus 1 raised to t minus I MCI, right? This is what we know from the previous theorem. But t is an odd number, right? So minus 1 raised to t is minus 1 raised to t is negative. And anyway, minus 1 raised to, I don't know why I put minus I here. In fact, it's plus I also. You can minus 1 raised to minus I, minus 1 raised to I is the same thing. So you will get here nothing but minus summation I going from 0 to t minus 1 raised to I MCI. This is what you're going to get when t is odd. T is odd. This is what you get. Okay, so I know this value. I need to convert this to that. Is that okay? So this is nothing but, I hope everyone can see what is happening here. This is what we have from the previous theorem. This index starts from 0, this index starts from 1. So I just have to add and subtract that. This is, of course, this is I plus 1. Take out that minus 1, you're going to get nothing but minus I going from 1 to t minus 1 raised to I MCI. Okay, and the 0th term, what is the 0th term? MC0, right? So add and subtract that. What do you get? Yes, add and subtract the 0th term. So 1 minus summation I going from 0 to t, hope I'm right, minus 1 raised to I MCI. The 0th term is minus 1, right? with this is 1, so you add and subtract, and this value here, as we know, is nothing but this m minus 1 c t. This is m minus 1 c t. This value here is m minus 1 c t, right, which is always positive. This value is always positive, right, m minus 1 c t. So this is going to be non-negative, m minus 1 c t. This is going to be less than or equal to 1. Okay, so the contribution to the sum is less than or equal to 1. Okay, the contribution of every element in this to this sum is always, it depends on what appears, right. These 1 to t is what you are looking at. You are not taking all the different possible intersections, so that's this thing. So this is anyway less than or equal to 1, and since this is less than or equal to 1, its contribution to this, see the contribution, the total sum of this is the cardinality of this, but some of these elements, every element, the contribution of every element is less than 1 to the right hand side, which means that the number of elements here should be, I am making a mistake, right. This should be, give me a positive value. Just a second, where have I gone wrong? Just check where I have gone wrong. This one is here. This is yeah. Which one? Yeah. Yes. I didn't get you. Which one should be minus 1? Here, the zeroth term is, see the zeroth term here is minus 1 raised to 0 mc0, which is 1. So this 1 and this 1 would cancel out, right? It's okay now. There should be an error here, unless I am making an error. Can anyone spot any errors here? Where is the error? This should be less, right? So here there is a problem because I am getting the contribution is less than 1. I need that So I want this to be greater than this. So the contribution here should be greater than 1. But I'm getting the contribution here to be less than 1, which is a problem, right? Seems so odd. This in fact would replace t, because minus 1 raised to t is minus 1. So by 1 I can replace t there in fact. Where is it that I am making an error? If I put t here, then the 0th term is minus 1. So if I have to put the 0th term, what? There's definitely an error here. Just check that. Yeah? Tell me. Here? Actually, there should be an error here. Wait, here? Just check and see, no? The 0th term here, I can see it. I think this is the error. Just a second. Oh, here it is. I got it. See, I got it. There is nothing here. This is the error. See, this is minus of this. So this is plus. This is a negative number. Okay. So this is going to be m minus 1 Ct. This is greater than 1. That's it. So that's what we were missing. So this tells us that the contribution of every element is going to be greater than 1 in this sum. Hence, this will be less than or equal to this. Okay, it's going to get counted more here than here. Whenever t is odd, it's going to get counted more in this sum than in the union. Okay, what about when t is even? You can have a look at that. What happens when t is even? I'll just do it fast. So when t is even, minus 1 raised to t is 1, right? So I'll just put that down here. So your m minus 1 Ct would give us summation I going from 0 to t minus 1 raised to t minus I mci. Okay, minus 1 raised to t would be 1, which would be nothing but summation I going from 0 to t minus 1 raised to I, because minus 1 raised to I and minus I is the same thing. Okay, mci. Now you can count and do exactly the same case, that is case 2, that is t is even. Then what happens? The contribution will be, what happens? So the contribution will become summation I going from 1 to t. Exactly, this is the contribution, right? The only thing that changes is, right, which is the contribution is exactly the same, right? We have not MCI. What changes is this is now plus. Okay, so you add and subtract the 0th term. Is it okay? Okay, so you add and subtract the 0th term, but of course this is minus 1 raised to, say you take k, this is pulled us out as minus, so minus summation I going from 1 to t minus 1 raised to I MCI. I want this to come 0, so you add and subtract the 0th term. What is the 0th term? 1. Okay, so add and subtract the 0th term, you will get 1 minus whatever, summation I going from 0 to t minus 1 raised to I MCI. And what is this value here? So 1 minus m minus 1 c t. This is a positive quantity. Okay, this is a positive quantity, and this has to be non-negative quantity. It could be 0 also. So this has to be less than or equal to 1. That proves it. So the contribution here to the sum is less than or equal to 1. Hence, there is more contribution to the union than to the this thing, right? So that's how it works. Here's another nice, very interesting fact. Again, we use some of the results that we have already proved, but another interesting one. Okay. So, if you have some integers n and k, positive integers, okay, what do you think is this summation j going from 0 to n minus 1 raised to n plus j, I think, it's k plus j, j plus k. J plus k ncj and then jck. What do you think this is? Of course, it looks a little odd in this fashion, but so this is nothing but your delta n comma k. What is delta n comma k? The characteristic function. Okay, that is 0 when n is not equal to k and 1 when n equals k. Okay, so this quantity will become 0 when n is not equal to k, and 1 when n is equal to k. Okay, that's what you can show. And to prove this, you can take two different cases. One is when your n is greater than k. What happens? So, okay, I hope everyone knows what this is. This is nothing but 1 when n is equal to k and 0 when n is not equal to k. So when n is greater than k, I have to show it 0. When n is equal to k, I need to show it's 1. When n is less than k, I need to show it as 0. Okay. So case 1, n is greater than k. What we use here is a very simple technique. Anyone, this reminds you of anything? What is it? Does this remind you of anything? Yeah? Sum? From n you choose j, and from j you choose k. What is that? The subcommittee identity, right? This is the subcommittee identity. You choose from n people, you are choosing a committee of j people, and then from those j people you choose a subcommittee of k people. This can, as we have discussed, this can be done in two ways. One is you choose your committee of j people and then the k people. The other one is you choose your k people first, you choose your subcommittee first, right? So j going from 0 to k, and so you can see how I am doing it. I don't attempt at memorizing the this thing. I am just going to use the logic. So from n you choose the k, and now you need to choose the rest of the j people. So that is done by n minus, from the n minus k, you have to choose how much? J minus k. Okay, now what's the advantage of doing this? You have taken out the dependence of j from one of them. This now has no dependence of j, so I can pull it out of the sum. Okay, so pull that out of the sum, you get nck summation j going from 0 to n minus 1 raised to j plus k n minus j minus k. Okay, now you need to spot what this is. J minus k. There is some yeah. Yeah, so so what you can notice here is that the moment what is it? Yeah, the moment these terms exceed n minus k, all these will become 0. The moment this, which is that? Yeah, because the moment j exceeds n minus k, the moment j exceeds n minus k, this is going to become negative, right? So those binomial coefficients are all 0. From negative you can't choose anything. Okay, so this would be nck did not go up to kn, you can go up to n minus k. So that is j equals 0 to n minus k minus 1 raised to, just for the sake of okay, j plus k n minus k c j minus k. Okay, so now what do we have? Can anyone notice? What if I replace this by j minus k? J plus k minus 1 raised to j plus k and j minus k is the same thing, right? So here it will be yeah, but when j is less than k you will get 0, but up to, you're right, so that's right, that's exactly what you've got to do. So those terms you can ignore. When j is less than k, as he said, these are going to be negative, right? Choosing negative number of things is always this thing. So you can start from the kth term, right? So that is j going from k to n minus k minus 1 raised to j minus k n minus kc j minus k. Now you can do a change of variable here, that is in place of j minus k you can put I. Okay, and what you get? What do you get when you put In place of j minus k, if you put I, nck summation, j goes from k to n minus k, right? So your I would go for 0 to n minus, no, in place of, so I you are putting as j minus k. So when j is n minus k, what would it be? What do you get here? Have I made a mistake somewhere? Oh, I made a mistake, right? Here there is no, you can't reduce here. This never becomes negative. From 0 to n, this doesn't become negative. I don't know why I said that. This does not become negative. This is j minus k, right? That's, I somehow put it here for some reason. It's not, I was looking at k as j, that's a mistake. So this is n itself. This is also n itself. But here what happens here is, I is j minus k, j varies from k to n, so I will vary from 0 to n minus k. Okay, k terms, right? K plus 1 terms, I think. What is it? Not k. N minus k plus 1 terms. Okay, in both cases. I hope I'm right. Yeah. So that is minus 1 raised to I, n minus k. What is this? This is a binomial expansion of something. What? This is 1 minus 1 raised to n minus k. Right? This is exactly 1 minus 1 raised to n minus k. And since n is strictly greater than k, nothing is really going to go wrong. And this is 0. Okay, so this is 0. What happens when n is strictly less than k? So you can see here when n is strictly less than k, yeah, please pay attention. You can see when n is strictly less than k, what do we have when n is strictly less than k? So this k will always exceed j, right? Because j is anyway less than n. So this term will always become 0. If n is strictly less than k, j goes from way 0 to n, right? So j is less than n. N is less than k, j is less than n, so j is less than k, right? Since j is less than k, this term will anyway always be 0, which means that this is 0. That's the easy case. Okay, so that this will mean that jck is 0 for j equals 0 up to n, and therefore this tells us that summation j going from 0 to n, whatever is here, is nothing but 0. And the only final thing which we need to check is when k equals j. Okay, so that's the case 3, is when n equals k. Yeah, so what do you get when n is equal to k? Yes, anyone? You can see here also most of the terms will disappear. Only one term is left. Right, here 0 to n, this will be minus 1 raised to j plus n, replacing all k's by n's, and then you have ncj jcn, right. This fellow here, for most of the time, most of the terms j is less than n, right. From 0 to n minus 1, j is less than n, so this fellow will become 0. So which one will be left? Only one term, that is ncn. Okay, so that is when j is n, that's the only one which will be left. So you will get minus 1 raised to n plus n, which is 2n, ncn, ncn, that proves it. Is it okay? So this is the characteristic function, okay, which we will see. Tell me. Yeah, I'll pass it on. Okay, we'll just introduce the Fibonacci numbers and prove one identity. Everyone knows what the Fibonacci numbers are? What is the Fibonacci numbers? Or the Fibonacci sequence? So the Fibonacci numbers are the numbers which appear in the sequence, okay, defined by the recurrence relation. What is the recurrence relation? So it depends on each person, but here in this book we go with the zeroth term. Zeroth term is 0. When some people switch the first and the zeroth terms and do things like that. So this is 1, and fn plus 1 is sum of the previous two after that. So this is your Fibonacci numbers, okay, and this is we are going to use this notation to denote the Fibonacci numbers. Okay, when n is greater than or equal to 2, I would have to give greater than or equal to 1, right. So f2 would be f1 plus f0, which is 1, f3 would be this, so it would be 3, and so on. Okay. So there is one special identity here, which is called as, you will have done most of these things in Fibonacci numbers. There is just one application which we will use in Fibonacci numbers for the binomial coefficients. That is what I am interested in. So I'll leave this out to you. This is called as the Cassini's identity. Okay, the Cassini's identity, it tells us something interesting about fn and fn plus 1. Okay, by looking at it, can anyone tell me what it tells us about fn and fn plus 1? Number theory, it gives us an important result about fn and fn plus 1. Can anyone spot it? This is the Cassini's identity. You all have seen this before. Okay. Can anyone spot what does it tell us about fn and fn plus 1? In number theory, it gives us an important result. Any idea? Yeah. So if you take fn, one of the fn's here as x, and if you take fn minus 1 as minus fn minus 1 as y, what you will get is x times fn plus y times fn plus 1. Now anyone can spot it? Yeah, it tells us that the two numbers are relatively prime. right? Why? Because if fn and fn plus 1 have a common divisor d, then that common divisor would have to divide minus 1 raised to n plus 1, which in particular it would have to divide 1, okay? More specifically, it would have to divide 1, right? If something divides minus 1, it divides 1, and that's this thing. So that's a contradiction. If that's a contradiction if d is greater than 1. Okay, so this tells us that the two numbers are relatively prime. How do you prove this? Anyone? Yeah, you can prove it by induction. Go by induction on n and prove it. Okay, I will stop with this. And we will use the Fibonacci numbers to prove a very interesting result in regarding the binomial coefficients next time.